not the only thing, but one of the things that Steve Jobs did look out for is the consumer. His whole history was about keeping the consumer in mind and the pricing. Um, it's like, I mean, that's why what was it? I don't think it was a Lisa MacBook, Mac. I think it was one of the other ones, one of the earlier Macs. It was going to be like $1,000 and something dollars or $2,000, something like that. And Steve Jobs said no to it because it was just too expensive, and he just did not want to, put the consumer through that. And the rest of the executives at Apple were like, no, no, it's a great price. This is what the Mac does. It does so much. I think it's a great price for it. And Steve Jobs was like, no, you know, it's going to be too much for the consumer. Why are we going to make so many of them if the consumer is not even going to buy them? You know what I mean? So
That's
I
right,
think that
and he went with their decision, and it fucking flopped.
yeah,
The
it flopped
Lisa flopped
horrible.
because it wasn't great, but I think it was the
No,
Apple
no.
Computer 2 where he said, "All right, fine, we'll go for $3,000. Go ahead, sell it for that." It flopped hard. I mean, just honestly, right? And you're right. I loved Steve Jobs. I honestly adored Steve Jobs just because when he was presenting the newer Apple TV, the one that's more like a box, he said, "Well, what do customers want? They want something small. What else do they want? They don't want to connect a bunch of cables to a TV. They already have all that. What else do they want? They want a good, usable remote. They want something small. They want something compact. And they want to be able to watch movies on their TV. And they want to be able to um, switch and play their music and all of that. And they want to do AirPlay. And they want to do... He did think about the consumer. Now, in today's market, would he still be thinking about the consumer? Absolutely. Apple is one company that I hate them for not including the charger. Samsung, breaking news, Samsung's not going to include the chargers. Android, whoop. I
No,
hate
and the
that.
funny thing is they made fun of them at the beginning. When Apple did it, they would Samsung had a shitload of memes and advertisements stating that, oh, we do include the brick. A year later, no brick in
Gone.
the box.
Yep.
Same thing for Pixel.
But Steve Jobs would have said, everyone said, oh, when he's going to release the iPad, it's going to cost $1,000. And he came out and said it's $500. And everyone went, what the fuck? Can you imagine an iPad $500 today? Maybe.
That's impossible.
The iPad Air 3, maybe. The iPad Air 4 was supposed to be $499. No, it's $599. So he did set, I love Steve Jobs because he did set the pace, and his presentations were absolutely amazing. Everyone always says, well, Steve Jobs didn't know how to make the computers and wasn't good at engineering, but he knew what the fuck he was talking about. He knew exactly what he was talking about.
I don't
Right?
think he's the greatest like everybody else does. I don't think he's
Huh.
like the greatest, but I do think he had some great qualities that basically got Apple where he is now. Like I really don't think he's the greatest, and everybody
So
wants
who
to
is?
I don't think Tim Cook is the greatest either.
Oh, God,
I
Tim
think
Cook sucks.
I really don't think that he is, but it's just he's the one that's keeping the company going. Apple has not fallen down of the pedestal that people keep him in. So therefore he's doing something right. But is he doing it like Steve Jobs? Hell no. But he's doing something right. And I really do think that Steve Jobs did have the consumer more in mind than Tim Cook does now.
And he was a visionary. Steve Jobs was like, what else can I make this phone do that is awesome? Tim Cook, he's what's going to make us the most money? It's all about business. And it's fine because a lot of these new tech CEOs aren't what Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak were. They were visionaries and creators. Whereas Tim Cook came as, I'm a supply guy. I'm a business by dollar guy, right? Steve Jobs also cared about the stock. Don't get me wrong here. He did. But he was a visionary. He's the one who came up with Braille screen input and how do I get blind people to read on their phones and voiceover and this. And it was like, wow, you felt the magic. And people still feel the magic of Apple. It's revered now, right? But whenever Tim Cook comes out with a new phone, I'm like, Okay, what's gonna change? Oh, the camera. Okay, right. With Steve Jobs, app, God knows, FaceTime, we would have been able to share screens and do share play and shared with you a long time ago. Look at how behind Apple is under Tim Cook. The OnePlus 8 has a much better processor, has a 16 megapixel camera. It's faster than the iPhone. It's better. And with Steve Jobs, he was on top of the market. Windows used to mock us, mock Apple and copy Apple. Now, Apple's doing the same thing it sued Microsoft or Windows for. It's copying their shit because there's no innovation at Apple anymore. Sure, we get the health app and we get the watch, and absolutely amazing. And I'm not going to deny it. But I'm not. I don't think with. I love how we got into Steve Jobs, but I don't think we're gonna ever see a visionary like Steve Jobs in our lifetime. And it ain't Tim Cook. What do you think, Jose?
No, I don't think so. As you guys both have said, Apple was more customer focused earlier on. Like, what was it? The iPhone was supposed to be intuitive, you know? You see a notebook, you press it, write notes. You see a little phone, you press it, you make phone calls. Um, and now it seems more, profit based, let's charge $1,000 for a phone. Oh, let's make, two iPhone 12 Pro and a Pro Max. What's the difference? This one has a bigger battery, bigger screen, that kind of thing. Where it's like, I don't, honestly, I don't think there should have been two Pros. Maybe the iPhone Mini 12 and the Pro Max. Because there's not that big of a difference between the 12 and the 12 Pro, to justify $200 more or whatever it was. So it does seem like it's more, what will make us the most more profit? Oh, I know, let's sell, four phones at a time.
I mean, look how long it took Apple to change the design. I mean,
Oh my
apart
God.
apart from having apart from changing maybe aluminum to glass, with the iPhone 8 and the iPhone 10, and that was a big change for consumers too. Like I think that was the biggest change with the 10, honestly, going for $1,000, and a lot of people said they weren't gonna get it. They were like, no, it's too much money. It's too much money. But the 10 is actually one of the phones that sold very extremely well.
The
Actually, a
10R
lot of
sold the best.
and it's just that gave the companies permission, like Samsung, Google, all those companies, they give them permission. Okay, Apple did it. Let's sell things for $1,000 and let's do it. And I think the market just went downhill from there. It's just okay. Apple can do it. Yeah, let's go for it.
Well, the market is saturated. The iPhone is only 12% of the phone market, right? Which is,
Right.
I love how all of us are nerdy and we know these facts. Right? You're right. But the market is so saturated right now. You have 1,000, 10, 2,000, 3,000, 10,000 different Androids. You got iPhones. You got Pixels from Google. You got Galaxies. You got all kinds of shit, right?
Don't forget the Sony phones.
Don't
Yeah,
forget
the
the Sony
Xperias and
phones.
shit.
Everyone's making a phone, right? But the difference between the 12 and 12 Pro is okay, a little bit of a battery bump. Definitely the Pro Raw. You don't get that with the 12. Right? I don't know if my thought is when they started making look, they should have said, look, we got the iPhone 12 and I don't like how they do an iPhone 12 Pro, iPhone 12, but you're not going to get what the 12 Pro gets. Stupid. Steve Jobs would have said, no, you get the 12, you get the fucking 12. It has Apple Pro Raw, bitch. Boom. Right? That's what I don't like, is that they come out with both phones. They should just release one phone. Fine, you want to release it in a different size? Okay. But this whole two phone shit, it's confusing because someone says, "Oh, I want to buy this iPhone, but it's too many different models." Come on, right? So I do think that Apple's got some work, especially with they're like, "Oh, we're gonna include a mini LED display," which is awesome on the iPhone 12 I wish on the iPad Pro 2021. except only on the 12.9 inch. Why didn't you include it on the 11 inch? Then they say we're gonna include this and this and that on the iPhone 12 Pro and 12 Pro Max. Why not on the 11? They also don't include Magic on the Magic keyboard. They don't include a fucking escape key. Then it gets worse. They don't include function keys. They're like, oh well, then it would have uh gone past the hinges, and we don't need that. It'll ruin it. There's a
No,
bunch
it
of
wouldn't.
space. There's a bunch of space between the hinges and the case. I have it. You could have fit one row of function keys and an escape key. It's just I'm tired of Apple just limiting like that, the hardware and some of the software. It's like, dude, enough, man. Like seriously.
And then making up BS for it. Like when they took out the headphone jack, I forgot which reviewer did it. I know there was a few of them when they did that whole taking out the headphone jack because there was no space for it. Actually, somebody actually fit a headphone jack inside of the 7. No problem. No problem. It just slid in. No problem. And they were able to use that headphone jack like no other. So again, they took out the headphone jack because at the same time, so coincidentally, the AirPods came out at the same time. The
Look, I
AirPods
mean,
came out.
well, look where people are headed. Remember when walkie-talkies existed? Beep, beep. Yes, Jason would like a donut, please. Right?
Yep.
And you had this big ass thing, and then you had the brick phone, and then now you had a flip phone with a keyboard and a freaking screen. And then you had an iPhone that got rid of the fucking keyboard but made a digital keyboard, right? And then you had headphones that were wired, and then people said, I would love more portability. I didn't mind them getting rid of the headphone jack. It's fucking annoying because let's say you do get a pair of headphones with it. Well, I can't plug it into the Mac. I now have to buy an adapter that's 2 cents for me to plug it into my Mac. That I don't mind. It's when they limit the capabilities of each product. Like for people to view HDR content and all of that on the iPad, and people who do render video and all of that, the mini LEDs would be absolutely amazing. But no, only if you get the 12.9 inch. It's like, oh my god, come on. And the Apple TV 4K has a better remote. Ooh. And it's in 4K and you can play it to your HomePod, but it does nothing else. If I had my current Apple TV right now, I would probably upgrade it for the remote because that remote sucked. But other than that, I don't see the point. And, when you guys ask, hey, why are people buying this new shit? Because people can keep them longer. That's the one thing I tell people. If you get one of the newer phones, they're making them last years and years and years. Before, your phone only lasted like 2 years. Now they last like 5.